morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming on this beautiful morning, which shows climate change quite beautifully, doesn't it? Today, we're examining how the media industry can move towards climate neutrality and consider if the answers lie in innovation or in simplicity and restraint, and whether AdTech is a problem or potentially part of the solution. My esteemed panel today, who obviously all checked their wardrobe before they came out this morning. Absolutely, it's lovely. So my esteemed panel include Halvard Kristiansen, Managing Director, Nordics, smartclip. Guillaume Belmas, is that all right?
That's it.
CEO and co-founder, Realytics. And Millet, Managing Director of IAB France. I just wanted to start off this conversation talking about the wonderful, I think, not WPP doesn't, the wonderful work done by Greenpeace this week. I wondered how you felt about it and if it resonated with you in any way.
I was having a meeting just beside the WPP beach when they came on the beach, and well, it can be surprising, but yeah, we need to change every people's minds, and I guess it was one of the way to do it, but we need to change people's mind about this. So that's one way to do it.
Yeah. Do the other two have anything to say about that?
Well, I mean, I passed them this morning because they had a new action going on this morning, and I think they're making a good point about ban fuel ads. The big question is going to be how. I think, and I think France has done some fantastic initiatives in this area.
Yes, so in France it's already banned. So there's a climate law, and so you can't anymore advertising on fuel on a company. So that's a big change in France.
But sorry, I'm just
no,
because I'm very curious about it. I just learned this morning.
Go for it.
So they're literally banning all fuel heavy, or is it like treating like tobacco, like you have to have a warning sign?
No, it's banned. It's totally banned. Yes, and in 2030, I think it will be also banned for thermics car. So you will be allowed to communicate only on electricity cars. But what I want to say about Greenpeace, it's great, of course, but I think we should always keep in mind that advertising is not only evil. There's too many green people who think that we have just to stop advertising and the world will be better. We have to keep in mind that advertising is also a very good leverage to keep the behavior, to make the behavior change. So I think, of course, banning some fuel energy or this kind of thing is a good thing, but I think we should keep in mind again that advertising could be very useful in this climate change combat.
And can you think of any examples of which brands are actually affecting behavior change well with their marketing and advertising at the moment?
I think we would just talk about car. I mean, automotive. I mean, they are now, I don't know in the other country, but in France, if you look at the TV in France, all the advertising about cars are electricity cars. So, and the demand is only about electricity cars. So it's a big change. It's a huge change in a very short time. So yes, I mean, there's some good example already.
There is a very concrete example for the car advertising. They have to put some behavior change messages like consider walking or taking your bike for a short distance in a car advertising. Yeah. So they're literally trying to change people, the way people behave.
Yeah, and you were saying earlier as well, we were talking about what stage sustainability should come into the briefing progress or the work. How often, is it in most RFIs you get now at the initial stage, your briefing for sustainability?
Talking about with the brands, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw in some RFPs for some brands regarding measurement that actually the carbon footprint measurement was optional before, but now it's mandatory. It's written in the criteria to actually do business with some brands. Yeah. So definitely there is a move that is touching the core of the business. So we have to change.
Yeah.
Can I just add to that? Because I think what is actually happening is the first level is we need to educate, and we need to inform ourselves and educate ourselves and our customers about the carbon footprint. That's sort of the first level of coming to change. So what we're now seeing is if I get it correctly, we're talking carbon neutrality or low carbon footprint becoming a competitive advantage. And I think that's a very interesting step in the process. And I also think it's important to remember, as you were mentioning, advertising, instead of fighting advertising in its core is about changing the behavior, about the way we think. I think, we could use the advertising side as a leverager in the longer run for making a change of behavior, conceptual, or the way we think.
And on that point, Halvard, could I ask you about the conversations that you're having with your clients and partners currently regarding sustainability and the role of AdTech?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in Sweden, we're just in the final process of auditing, but it's an initiative together with Group M, where we've created a carbon calculator. So we've, together with the TV houses, the radio houses, out of home, everybody's been participating. So it's a cross-industry initiative. And we actually come up with a carbon calculator at the moment, where you could type in the budget, the CPM levels, and you will actually get the carbon footprint of your campaign. And my guess is that this will be, in the long run, a part of the decisioning process when the CMO is actually deciding on the plan. He will say, okay, we discussed it earlier, that you probably have the sustainability officer sitting together with the CMO deciding on the marketing plan, because it's not about only finance anymore, it's going to be finance and sustainability.
But we need for that the standardization and harmonization of how we calculate the carbon footprint of a campaign. Because if we want to make comparison, I mean, if everybody use different frameworks, I mean, for the CMO, it would be very difficult to make a choice. And also, we want to avoid the risk that there will be a competition between media. That's not the objective. So what we are doing in France and at IAB, for example, we are working on the frameworks for digital campaign. And it will be the same frameworks for everybody, using the same database. And it does mean that for the CMO, it can use any kind of calculators, but the frameworks will be the same for everybody. And I think I heard that the French television is doing the same thing. Press is doing the same thing. So and outdoor is doing the same thing. So all the media will have its own frameworks. And it's good, and it's great, and we should go this way, and we need this standardization, harmonization, and it should be worldwide at the end, I think.
Yeah. And can I just add again? Sorry, it's but I think we're having, we're going to face an issue because the framework is going to be a central part of this. I mean, in the digital world, we're still asking ourselves the question whether it's viewable or not on an impression level, which is kind of perhaps the most easy to answer question of all, but because different frameworks creates confusion. And I think this is going to be a very big question. Who will be the umbrella organization that decides the framework, so we're not ending up once again in this industry, discussion will be about what framework, where does your framework start and where does my framework start? And we end up in some sort of measurement discussion once again that we have for the last years.
Exactly, and then it becomes an undignified scrabble and lots of disorganized frameworks. On that, Guillaume, I wouldn't mind to ask you about your carbon analytics feature and what it does, and if there's anything interesting that you've discovered in your beta testing.
We just released a new feature enabling the measurement of carbon footprint for TV campaigns. Because as I said, now it's more and more a requirement for brands, but also it is important to have a first step in this direction. But on the value chain, you have many steps. The creative one is very complex because we talked about this. Where the responsibility of carbon footprint begins. So that's one thing. And then going forward into the value chain, there is from the construction of the plan, then to all the technical steps between the creative delivery and so on, and then, last but not least, the broadcast of the campaign itself, which for France is quite complex because we have TV sets, yes, but we also have set-top boxes, and set-top boxes from different operators, depending on how the setup you can have, is very complex. But it's what we provide for every TV campaign. And yeah, I agree. This is the very first step of what we are doing. But then there is an harmonization work to do here, along with digital, along with all the other things that we may not have included into this measure.
Right, thank you. And in a world where consumers are overexposed to content and advertising and many platforms, what are you doing at the moment in the AdTech area to really stand out, to really grab attention, consumers' attention?
From our point of view, is talking about climate change and attention. I think we should be, and we are working on that, especially in digital advertising, thinking more efficiency. So I think because the supply, the inventory, it's so cheap and it's everywhere in digital, we are not very used of thinking about efficiency, because I mean it's easy, it's everywhere there, so we don't have to think very much. So I think about your question is we should be more efficient, and being more efficient and we will be more responsible for the climate, but also for the user. That's our point of view. And so we should help the buy side to understand better that, and to understand when they are using this kind of format, or when they are using this kind of tagging, or when they are using this kind of video, etc., etc., etc. What is the impact, but not only on the climate, but also on the efficiency of the campaign? I'm taking a very simple example, but if you want to run a traffic campaign, and if you use a 30-second video format for that, it's not efficient, and you are going to consume lots of energy. So I think we should work on this path between how we can be more responsible for the user and for the climate, and for the path for that, for me, it's efficiency.
Can I just add to that, because the other day there was a lot of talk about the creativity. And you know, the creativity sort of demands a longer format, a longer ad. So these are kind of contradictory to each other. And I also think, ironically, the whole cookie Armageddon we've been discussing for the last couple of years, we're now facing a situation where I think it's only Google who has cookies left, because Safari is, Internet Explorer doesn't exist anymore. What I think is important to know, we've been talking a lot about targeting for the last 10, 15 years in the digital area. And all those small sparks of ignites that has to go back and forth, reading the cookie, the signals that goes back and forth, the whole RTB protocol with a massive amount of bidders, all those signals demands energy. So I think we need to see the whole supply chain here. Less targeting probably mean more efficiency in an energy perspective. But how will that affect the campaign again? I think these are the questions we need to answer, and at least have up as discussion and debates in the coming time to be able to come to that point.
Can I just open this up to the floor if anybody has any questions? Oh, you're waving your fan. I thought you were asking a question. It is a little bit hot, isn't it? Okay. So can I ask you as well at the moment, is like, how is AdTech damaging the planet? You brought some very good examples up there. You mentioned servers earlier. Is there... How do you think about AdTech in terms of climate neutrality or sustainability? Is AdTech damaging the planet?
There is, from a strictly tech standpoint, there is a lot that software can do. So there is obviously the way we optimize the servers and cloud servers consumptions, but there is also the way we use it. That is to say, for example, we had a software eco-design approach to some of our tech we are using. So since we are processing TV signals, TV streams, we changed the way we are processing those streams because we're working on many channels, and the way we modified this enabled us to actually reduce by 30% the server's consumption. So it's a double win because we reduced the server consumptions from an economic standpoint. It was interesting, but consequently, the best carbon footprint is a one that you don't create. So basically, we reduce the number of servers we are using, and consequently, the carbon footprint as well. So this is not something we thought about at the very beginning, but then we found out that it's actually very important in the software industries and also the AdTech industries to think about eco-design of software, which is not something that is taught in schools, and now it's more and more in people's mind.
Yeah, interesting. And what are the most common questions that you're getting from brands and clients at the moment? What are the biggest concerns? I mean, many I know feel that it's so overwhelming that they don't know where to begin. Do you have a starter pack of understanding how to begin?
I don't know for my side. I will let you answer that. But what I can tell is our conviction. We are convinced that the carbon footprint of a campaign will become a really big question for all the CMOs, and I think is tomorrow, or perhaps when I say tomorrow, it's really tomorrow. Is for marketers today, campaign. It's part of the scope 3 of your carbon footprint. So it will be so important for them to have the lower carbon footprint for the scope 3. So the pressure is going to be hard, and we have to be ready for that.
Yeah.
No, I think, I mean, at the end game, it's always going to be about the consumer. So, I mean, because all of us, I think, we're kind of easy people in that way, that if someone holds a bag of money in front of us and puts the brand sustainability on it, we will start changing our way. And the same goes with the consumer. As long as if the consumer starts more and more pushing their way over to sustainability, asking those questions, you know, the whole industry will shift slowly but surely over. And you know, the whole tech needs to be developed in such a way. I only learned yesterday that we're moving towards a 5G environment, and 5G basically means that fewer base station has to be sparked off, which means a significant reduction of the energy consumption. So I think the whole shift is ongoing, and I think the most important thing is we're putting this on the agenda. We're getting the questions. We're getting into the conversations. And I think we're going to see more and more demands coming from everybody.
And there is the basic thing that is requested is actually to measure. But then the second step is to say, okay, how can we improve this? But the challenge with this second step is to say, can we improve while keeping the performance, keeping all the KPIs we need and so on? It's a challenge, not only for the brand, but for the whole industry, because meaning reducing while increasing on the other side. It's a challenge. It's doable, but it's a challenge.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about behavior change earlier, which I think is fascinating because advertising has this huge power to change behaviors, but very rarely sees it through. The way you're working, it's very long term, isn't it? What do you think is the most important thing that you can do in each of your professions at the moment to really affect the way business leaders launch the sustainability efforts?
Again, on the tech side, I would say that is simplicity. We need simplicity in what we develop in all the platform and softwares we are building, because it's a balance between all the innovative scenarios and so on we can create. And most of the time, when you have this in mind, you don't consider the consequences in terms of carbon footprint and so on. And then does it really matter? Is it really innovative enough and not carbon generative to be rolled out as a new product? And then there is also this eco design I talked about. So there is a balance that is not that we have to keep in mind all day long. And people's mind in the tech industry are changing and moving forward. It would also take time, but we are acting in the good direction so far.
Oh, I've just been told we've got to finish in a minute, so can I ask you to sum up what is your the most important criteria, the most important thing you want to achieve in the next year? Professionally, obviously.
Professionally, yeah, of course. Because otherwise it's 2 hours. Again, I think if we can have these frameworks for ready for all the media, it will help. And also, if all the markets and all the advertising and digital television could understand that it's a big thing, I think it's okay for most of the big brands. But you know, in digital advertising, there's two worlds. There's the big brands, which is 20% of the ad spends, and you've got the long tail, which is 80%. And I'm much more concerned about how the long tail is going to handle that and take care about this problem. I'm not concerned about the big brands because they have to do it. I mean, it's part of their business now. But for the long tail, how we are going to address that, it's a big question, I think, for us.
No, I agree.
I would say for us, the challenge now that we have the first step, which is measurement. Now the real concrete step will be how do we improve this based on what we measure. So yeah, we're definitely working on this from a research and development perspective. We have several directions, but one of the interesting directions would be to have the right balance between efficiency and carbon footprint reduction, meaning reducing all the wasted impression, the useless impression, if we can call it this way.
Interesting, thank you.
And I think from the Nordics, we're currently in this sort of gather information and inform and sparking off the conversation. So hopefully we will come into the next stage discussing how can we reduce and you know, also not, because we can only work on the online side of the business. Also, I think we need to talk about the framework and you know, how this is going to play out in different parts of the industry. So hopefully we will come to the next step in the coming year.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to say thank you very much to all of you for turning out on this beautiful morning. And thank you so much to my panel. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.